Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So, today's video is going to be a really informative video for those of you who are looking to apply to university. I'm going to talk about A-levels, I'm going to talk about UCAS applications, uni decisions, my experience, and a few tips and tricks to help you get through it. So, diving right in. First things first, I did A-levels. What A-levels did I do? I did the 3 sciences and maths. So yeah, I did 4 A-levels, which is pretty unusual. Technically, I even did 4.5. Here's the story. So, I initially chose A-levels being biology, chemistry, physics, and maths because I wasn't exactly 100% sure what degree course I was going to be looking for, but I did know that it was going to be scientific, probably medical based, because that's just what I was interested in. So I chose the basis that would really prepare me for that. The reason I didn't end up dropping any of my subjects for year 13 was because I should have and probably should have dropped physics, but I was really interested in it and I didn't. So that was okay. I managed my 4 A-levels, but I think my real fallout was the fact that I did another half of an A-level, so I decided that I was going to do further maths. Originally I thought I'd do all of it, but I didn't do enough in my year 12, so I was left with more work for my year 13, and I ended up just dropping the half. I only did half of further maths. I did the exams, but like I said, only half of them. And because I took on so much work, I did worse ultimately in my chemistry and physics A-levels because those were my weaker subjects. Because they were my weaker subjects and I didn't put as much effort into them, I ended up doing worse. So the effects that this had on me was I didn't end up getting into my first choice university. Warwick was my second choice. To say I'm not disappointed with that decision ultimately, and I'm very happy where I am today. But if you are really set on getting into your first choice, my first tip is don't take on too much. Focus your A-levels on what you think you're going to need and just focus on that, because you will have the chance to learn other stuff when you get to university to expand it. But you might not get to the university that you want to get to if you try and do too much during A-level. I didn't know how to organize my time well, and that didn't bode well for me. So that's the first tip. Choose your A-levels wisely and don't overload it. Next, so UCAS applications is how you apply to UK universities. So you apply to a maximum of 5 universities through this
website application thing.
And the requirements are obviously your predicted A-level grades, and then your final A-level grades get submitted to the university automatically, and a personal statement. So, a personal statement, it's about you. You get one personal statement for all 5 universities. So this is where it gets tricky, because a lot of people try and apply to multiple courses, or different courses at different unis, or even different courses but at the same uni. And your personal statement has to cover and be relevant to everything that you apply to. For me, it was okay because I applied to biomed at all 5 universities. So I didn't really have an issue with my personal statement meeting one university but not the other. But I know some people who did. And so, for example, if you want to apply to political sciences and you want to apply to engineering, because, I don't know, you're really interested and you're good at both, and one university is better at one and one's better at the other, you would have to make your personal statement super flexible so that it made you seem like the perfect candidate for political sciences, but equally as much the perfect candidate for engineering. So that's where it gets challenging. I started writing my personal statement in the early summer after year 12. I didn't wait. I wanted to get it done, I wanted to get a head start, and it was worth it because I ended up writing about 20 different personal statement drafts before I was even close to one that was satisfying and good enough to potentially get sent off. And that was even before I got to school and started rewriting more drafts with my teacher, who was also going to write my reference for me later. That's another thing you need. We'll get into that. Yes, so personal statement, for science degrees, when you're writing your personal statement, it's really important to not waffle. So it's really important to be factual, to be short. You're not writing an essay. It should be personal, but you can't just fill up space by writing big words, because that's not what people who are analyzing you as a potential candidate for this degree, that's not what they're looking for. They want to know that you have the abilities to study a scientific degree. So for me, the key things that I put into my personal statement were my work experience, which was shadowing an oncology lab in America and also shadowing a doctor. Two things that are medically related, and I can really make them relevant to the course that I was looking for. Next, work experience, but also leisure activities that you guys might have done. I don't know, reading scientific journals, articles, even like The New Scientist, right? It's a newspaper. No, it's a magazine. But it's scientific, and it's relevant, and it's interesting. So if you read a bit, talk about what you read about. Talk about how it was interesting to you, something that really brought out to you. If you do any kind of online pre-uni courses type of thing, put that in. And third,
to put in, I had the word in my head, and then I went off and talked about something else. Why did I do that?
So you've got, what have you got? Okay, so you've got your work experience, you've got leisurely activities, you also want to talk about yourself, talk about your good qualities, make yourself seem like a confident and strong candidate. I'm not saying you have to say that you're the best, no, but it is good to talk about the good qualities that you have. You're selling yourself, ultimately, that's what you're doing. You are getting a university to like you and to want you. You're convincing them that they need you, not the other way around. Although everyone knows that you do need them because you're going there to get a degree that you want. And anyways, so now that that's all said, personal statement, yeah, like I said, I recommend starting writing it early, and then you get into school and you do a little bit of editing. If you apply to Oxford or Cambridge, or you apply to medicine, you have to send off your UCAS application in October. If you don't, then you have until January. So part of the reason I started with my personal statement so early was because I had the October deadline, because I applied to Oxford. So next is universities. Once you've got your personal statement, obviously it's important to pick the universities with great care, because ultimately one of them is going to be the one that you go to. So an important factor for international students is going to be fees, because they vary between universities. But an important factors for everyone is also going to be the course content and what they offer, and accommodation and prices as well. All of that's going to be factoring into your ultimate uni decision. And once you come down to your 5 choices, you put those in, you add your personal statement, you get a reference written from a teacher or a trusted adult teacher who can say good things about you, relevant. Again, if you're doing a science application, it's better to have one of your science teachers write it. If you're going to go for more of the humanities side, have your English teacher. If you're going to study psychology, have your psychology teacher write it, that kind of thing. So make sure your reference is also written by someone relevant to the topic of what you're going to hopefully be studying. And then you send it off. And then you wait. Obviously, you don't just sit and wait. While you're waiting, you're studying for your A-levels, you're doing work, you're going to school, all of that. And then the day comes when you get your first email of, there has been an update to your UCAS. And that moment, you see that email. So you open the email, and you get your first offer. And that is a blissful moment. Oh, it feels so good because you realize that you now have a chance. It's real. You got an offer from a university. Oh my god, it's great. And it's fantastic. So over time, I think by February, you should have all of your offers /rejections. And yes, it is possible that you will get rejected. Either your personal statement didn't meet their criteria. If you had to do some kind of extra test, say a BMAT for example, and you didn't get a high enough grade, you might be rejected. These situations happen and it's okay. Rejection is okay in the sense that you will find a university to go to and to study at, and you're gonna have a good experience with it. I think the best life tip I got when I was applying to university from my chemistry teacher, she said, ultimately, whether you get into your first choice, you get into your insurance choice, or you have to go through clearing, wherever you end up, you're going to have a good experience. And if you don't, then you can change. And I took that to heart because in my experience, since I took on so many A-levels, I didn't end up meeting the grade requirements for my first choice, which when I made the choice was Imperial. And up until that point, I had been almost certain that there was no way I could miss Imperial. I was definitely going, I had planned out my accommodation. I almost didn't make the deadline to apply for Warwick accommodation because I really didn't think that I'd need it. I really did not think that Warwick was going to be where I was studying. I was so set on Imperial. And then I get my grades back and I realize I didn't get into Imperial. And I was disappointed for probably about an hour. And there was a bit of, oh, I wish I'd done better, I could have done better, why didn't I do better? But then, when I got the acceptance from Warwick, I realized that, first of all, I'm still going to an amazing university. It's definitely, I didn't apply to universities that I didn't potentially want to go to, and when I made my firm and my insurance choice, I really, really, really thought about what my insurance was going to be. I probably spent about 2 weeks comparing Warwick with the University of Edinburgh and just deciding which one I was going to choose as my insurance, because I thought, yeah, I had my mind set on Imperial, but it's important. So that's another thing. It's really, really important that you choose your insurance wisely because you never know what's going to happen. And then I realized that I was going to Warwick, and I started Googling everything. I started looking up where it was, what it was. My maths teacher, he actually went to Warwick, him and his wife, she was our head of sixth form. And so then I started talking to them more about it, and when I came to visit the school before coming off to university, and I started talking to them about it and how I got into Warwick and how excited I was, it was positive. Everything was so positive. I was really excited, and I had almost forgotten that I had been rejected from Imperial. It really didn't matter anymore because I was going to uni, I was doing a degree that I was super excited for, and I was going to a university that I was really excited to be at. And then I got there, and my experience speaks for itself. I have no, I guess you could say, regrets about not getting into Imperial. I would not go back and change it and make myself get into Imperial if I could, because I have had such an amazing experience, such a good time. I'm at such a great place right now. I absolutely love my university, my course, my friends, the people that I've met. Everything is fantastic. I love it all. So that was my experience, along with some tips, and just to kind of sum up the tips and tricks, here they are. I guess I might put them in like a list form, that could be useful. So here are my tips. A-levels. Pick them wisely, relevant to what you think you potentially would want to study. Don't overdo it. Pick 4 when you start, and do 3. Don't do more than you need, because it's not worth it. Next, focus, study, do well. Yeah, it's important to study for your A-levels. I might do an A-level study tip video further on. And then UCAS application. Start early. Don't put it off, because first of all, when you get back to school in year 13, everyone's going to be starting their personal statement at about the same time. So everyone's going to be crowding the teacher at about the same time, so you're just getting a space with your person to speak to them. It's just going to be hectic. Versus if you start early, you get done early, you're done by the time everyone else is only just starting. It just feels good. Do work experience if you can. I know it's hard for some people, but find something relative. And if you can't, you just physically can't get any work or like volunteering experience, find the interesting things at home. There's online courses that you can take that relate to topics that you might be studying. There are things that you can be reading. You can just increase your knowledge so you have something to talk about in your personal statement. Next tip is definitely for science degrees specifically. Keep it concise, keep it factual, and keep it to the point. Make yourself seem strong, confident, independent, and really, really ready to take on this degree. That's the main point of writing a good personal statement. And then picking universities. Choose your university not just based on things like their ranking in a list. You have to consider all the aspects. First of all, you're going to be living here, wherever this university is, for the next 3 to 4 years. Then you have to consider that the degree really needs to fit you. It needs to be taught in a way that really, really fits you. If you can, if you have the ability, if you are able to visit as many of your university choices as you possibly can, it is so worth it. It really gives you an idea. And I mean, there are cases where you step onto a campus and you think, wow, I can really see myself living there. And then there are cases where, for me, I visited the summer as well, between year 12 and 13, I visited the UK and I did a university open day kind of tour. So I went to Oxford, I went to Imperial, and I also went to UCL. And if you noticed, I didn't apply to UCL. That's because as soon as I got into the open day at UCL, everything was just kind of off-putting. I didn't like the head of the degree at all, the head of the department. She gave a speech at the beginning of it, and it really put me off. And that's just personal. Like, I went with a friend who really, really liked the atmosphere at UCL. And, you know, that's fantastic. If she could see herself living there and working and studying there, that's great. I know people who love it. I'm not saying it's a bad university. I'm saying it didn't fit me. And that's really what it's all about. You have to think about what's going to fit you for the future, for the next 2, 3, 4 years. You're the one ultimately living and studying there. So fix it to you. Rankings aren't everything. Yeah. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you have any other questions or want to know anything else, see another video topic maybe. I am going to start posting weekly. Every Saturday you can expect a new video coming out from me on a new topic. But if there's anything specific you want to see, just drop me down a comment down below, hit me up on social media. Yeah, give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!